So this is a little mini notebook that I have made. It has got a hard cover and I have used magazine paper. So I'm going to show you how to make this. It's a very simple folded structure and I have used it for my altered images doodles. So you can't see the images that were in the magazine pages because they've been covered up with the doodles, and all you're left with is the colours beneath. So let's get making. So I've chosen my magazine page. I've chosen one that has a stapled binding. So I've undone the staples and I've got this big piece of paper now. So I don't want to make a rectangle shaped book, I want to make a square book. So what I need to do is cut this down so that I can utilise the fold. So I want the fold in the middle of the square. So I want to trim a little bit off of each side. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to get another page and I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm going to get a Sharpie pen so you can see where the centre fold is. So that's the centre of that page there. So I want the centre of this length here. I'm then going to cut that page to that width. Now of course, yes, you can use a ruler and measure it, but I'm just going to do it like that. So I'm going to cut a strip off of each side and let's hope it works. So I'm going to turn it round and get my ruler and craft knife. I'm going to line up the bottom edge with a vertical line. So I'm going to just line that up on there and run my ruler up so it's even with the lines on the cutting mat. You know how to do this. And we're just going to slice those end pieces off. Not quite through. Okay, so that should give me a square. Do we think it's a square? So I'm going to measure just by, without creasing it, just by putting the corners together. Okay, so we've got a centre fold already, and that's great. So I'm now going to start folding the pages. So I'm taking the edge to the centre and creasing, open it up again, turn it round, edge to the centre, and creasing. So this piece now has got 3 folds, so it's divided into 4 equal sections. I'm going to do the same the other way. Okay, so we've got a piece of paper that's folded into 16 equal pieces. So now I'm going to cut 3 strips in this paper. I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie pen so you can see. So I'm going to be cutting from that crease down to the edge. I'm going to be cutting from here to the edge. And I'm going to be doing the same over on the other side here. So just gently mark where that is, and then the other one I'm going to be cutting the other way. So I've got 2 strips ending here, cutting to the edge here, and then I've got 1 strip cutting to the edge on the other side. You can do this with scissors obviously, but I'm just going to do it with my craft knife. So just line it up, make sure that you're actually cutting along the fold, and then just gently cut from the dot, from one fold to the edge. You're going to do the same again on the other side. So lining that dot up, just make sure you're folding along, you're cutting along the fold, and again just gently slice. So I've now got 2 cuts. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to do my 3rd cut along the original spine crease. So from the dot to the edge. Okay, and that's still holding together there. So we've got 2 cuts this way, 1 cut this way. Okay, so now we're going to start folding. So we're going to concertina this book. So just gently ease it one way and then fold it back along the crease and just concertina it into a block. So as long as you're zigzagging, you're concertinaing, it should all fold together. And then this is going to be these are going to be the pages of our book. Now as we go through this book, you will see that where the concertina has folded and changed directions, you've got a flap happening in here. So most of the pages will have the crease on the front, but some of them will not. So what we want to do is now paste those pages together. So I've just got a glue mat, and I'm just going to glue one piece to another. I'm just using PVA glue, just happens to be what I've got. So we're just folding one piece onto another and gluing those 2 together. Let's just put that under another patch there, and a piece of kitchen paper, and just smooch that together. So that is 1 page stuck. So now when you open it, you've got 1 page, and then this is the glued page. You can see there's a little bit of where the staple was, so I may just neaten that up a little bit. The next one is going like that. So again, I'm going to just glue one side, keep that down so it catches. Where are you? That one. And just switch that together. So that's the middle one. So there's 3 folds in here where we've changed directions, and this is the last one here that's already holding open for me. So that's going to just fold onto there. Let's find a glue, nice clean bit of the glue mat, and just smooth it down. Okay, so the book is now going to open like this. So the next thing we want to make is the cover. So I'm going to cut some card to make the cover of the book. This card actually came from a cardboard envelope, you know, the sort of envelopes that are a bit more supported. You could use cereal box card, you could use the back of drawing pads, any card that you've got. So I'm just going to, I want to cut a square that is just a little bit bigger than my book. So let's just cut that. So I'm just going to line that up with my mat. Okay, and so now we've got to measure it, because I want to make sure it is square. So I'm seeing 7.4. Again, I'm just going to line that up. Okay, so that's one of my book covers. So that's not going to be enough there, but I'm going to hold that to one side, and I'm just going to trim a piece exactly the same size. Okay, so those are my boards for the matching covers. Now this piece here is the same height, so I'm going to use that to make a spine. So the spine needs to be about the thickness of the book, and it's a shade under 1/2 centimetre, so I'm going to go for about 4mm, so a little bit under. Sadly, this little strip is not wide enough, so I'm just going to eyeball this rather than match it up on the cutting mat. Okay, those are my scrap pieces. So I've got the front and back cover, and I've got a spine. Now we need to find an image to cover the cover. So I've picked out a couple of images here. So these are, we're going to go along the themes of using the magazine pages. I quite liked that one, but I'm rejecting that one. So this one, I'm wondering whether this is part of a painting. I'm wondering whether to use that, because I'm looking for images that basically are going to be a little bit more abstract when they're on the book cover. But I like the covers, like the colours of these, so I'm considering using this, and then we're going to get more vertical stripes on the cover. So I think I'm going to go with this one. So it doesn't matter what you choose to cover your book with, but I kind of like trying to find big images that are going to be a little more abstracted once they're stuck on. So I think I'm going to go for this sort of section. So I need to just kind of mark where I don't want too much of that. Quite like the blue, but I think I like these colours here more. So I don't want to go any further than that. So my book pages are going to be, my covers are going to be stuck onto the paper like that. So let's get gluing again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue all of the cardboard first of all, and then place them all on at the same time. So again, using PVA glue. Okay, so I'm just going to swap those over now. Now what I want to do also is to allow a decent fold over, but also to keep the cardboard fairly straight. So I am just going to put my ruler there ready. So let's just go for it. So half the fun is just randomly choosing the image. Now I've got a nice line here that I can use to square up my card. So I'm going to need to go along a little bit more, I think. So you can measure exactly how much gap you want here. Oopsie. I'm just eyeballing it, guesstimating, and then this is where the ruler comes in handy, just to make sure everything is nice and square and straight and level. And then just squash down. And get rid of the gluey mat for a minute. Got a clean mat. I'm just going to, with my paper folder, just squash any air bubbles, wrinkles or crinkles out. Now when you're using images of landscapes, it doesn't matter too much, because those creases are going to add to the texture. Got a little bit that's not catching there. It's going to add to the texture, so don't worry too much. Okay, so that's glued now. Now I'm going to just cut around the outside, about the same distance. Okay, so that is going to be my cover. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to fold the edges over. So I'm just going to trim a corner off. My scissors are not going right to the cardboard. They're just leaving a little gap. Glue mats back. So I'm just now going to paste those edges over. You can do this any which way you like. I always go for the long edge first. So I've got a gluing mat and I've got a folding mat. So squash those down. If you can, just try and ease the paper in here a little bit, where you've left that little edge at the corner. Just crease those in. Okay, so that's the cover. It will need to dry properly, but I'm going to do one more thing while I've got the glue going. I'm just going to put a supporting strip down the middle there just to reinforce that a little bit. So I've got a piece of the magazine, the cover, the picture that I used. So I'm just going to cut a little strip, a little bit shorter than the length of the book, the height of the spine. And I'm just going to stick that in there. Those crinkles are going to dry a little bit flatter. So I'm just going to put that under something heavy to dry now. So here's the book cover now. It's nearly dry. I like the way that the colours of the image are there. It's more colours and shapes rather than what the image is. And I like this orange is going to be the front rather than the blue. So now we need to attach the book pages into the book. And that happens by just gluing that first flap and the last flap in place. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to just quickly put some glue on this front flap. Now this might take a little bit of jiggery pokery. You might not get it in exactly the right place first of all, but it's just going to be trial and error. So I'm going to knead it up a little bit. Okay, I think that's not too bad. So that's going to go there. So now we're going to glue the back piece. I'll just change my paper underneath here. Is that going to be about right? Just make sure it does open. And straighten it up just a little bit. And squash it on. So that is now the book ready to go. There's our book glued into the cover. And there we have it, two little square books. One ready for all of its doodles, the other one already altered.